IVM.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Positively Unlimited podcast. Today's episode is about E for expectations. Yes, the most common question that I get about expectations is whether we should have them or not. I mean, we're always told that expectations lead to disappointments and, well, we should not expect anything from anybody. But how true is that? To respond to whether we should have expectations or not, the truth is, whether we should or should not, we will always end up having expectations from people. So the question is not about should we or should we not, because the truth is we will. Despite that, we will. That's the nature of relationships, human relationships. So I'd like us to just accept this truth, that we as humans will expect certain things in certain relationships. Park the notion of right or wrong, park that need to judge this habit of expecting, or call it nature of expecting, and just accept it, that as humans, we will expect. And when it comes to our romantic relationships, well, that box of expectations becomes larger and, well, deeper. Now, is that right or wrong? I'll come to that in a moment. However, I will tell you this. Expectations in a romantic relationship have a very important function to play. They serve a purpose. Now, you're asking me, what is this purpose other than causing disappointment? Well, not really. A certain amount of expectation must be there between two partners so that a sense of responsibility and accountability is maintained. Now, remember one thing. We humans can be very lazy. Now, in a relationship, if your partner does not have and express and demand certain things, then you may not step up and show up. And similarly, you can turn the table around. If you don't express, expect, demand certain things in a relationship, your partner may not feel the need to step up and show up. So yes, expectations are important. However, how much is okay, firstly? And secondly, what kind of expectations are okay? Is there a line that we should be drawing? Is there something such as expecting too much? We all want to live a certain type of relationship. We all want to experience certain specific things in love. And what we want from our partner, what we expect from our partner is very often based on these desires. Sometimes it's also based on the fears that we have, those things that we don't want happening. So we expect our partner to not behave a certain way. Okay, so there are different kinds of expectations. So the first thing you want to understand is, what do you expect from your partner? Make a very clear list of the tiniest things that can be defined as an expectation. What do you expect from your partner? The reason why I say this is because wanting something and expecting something are two different things. Or let me split that up further. We need certain things in a relationship. We want certain things in a relationship, and then we expect certain things in a relationship. Now, the problem with expectations is that as a belief, it is non-negotiable. I expect at least this much from my partner. I expected this and he or she just didn't do it. It didn't even strike them. These are the words we repeat, don't we? But when it comes to action, very few of us express what we expect from our partners clearly. And therein lies the problem. Hence, make a list of what do you expect from your partner. Make sure that this expectation is not a need or a want. Those are separate lists. Sometimes the lines can get blurred, but figure out what those clear expectations are. Now, once you do that, you also want to ask yourself, why do I expect these things from my partner? what will it fulfill? So here comes the second layer, right? When we expect, it's usually because it's going to fill up some void or a craving. So say the void is not having been pampered, or maybe the craving is to be pampered by your partner. And so you start expecting them to treat you in a certain way. However, here's the catch. Have you expressed this to them, firstly? Have you taught them how to treat you by way of action, as in treating yourself in that manner, as well as communicating, which means clearly telling them what is okay and what is not okay? Also, when they have not fulfilled an expectation, have you expressed how it has made you feel? And when they have fulfilled an expectation, have you expressed how did it make you feel? So here's the thing. Certain amount of expectations are important in a relationship. They serve a function. The function is to ensure that both partners are behaving responsibly and there's a sense of accountability. Okay? Secondly, you need to understand what you are expecting from your partner, and it's usually something that is beyond needs and wants. These are supposedly non-negotiable pieces. Thirdly, have you expressed and communicated your expectations, and have you expressed to them when they've not fulfilled it or when they have fulfilled it? So from here, I'm taking you to the next step of expectation. And this is where it gets tricky. This is where the blurred lines come in. And this is where we need to understand what are we expecting, from whom, and is it right to expect this from this person? Are we setting ourselves up for success or failure? Now, this piece that I'm going to tell you is how you can avoid disappointments. So as I said earlier, most of our expectations are based on desires that we have. So certain things that we want to experience in a relationship. And most expectations are either filling up a void or fulfilling a craving. However, most of us don't realize, we don't observe, we don't even take into consideration that what we are expecting from our partner, are they capable and willing to fulfill it? Now, what do I mean by this? So say you are someone, and I'm going to use a very cliched example. So say you are a woman who is expecting her partner to, well, buy her roses every day. However, this partner whom she has chosen, whom she has fallen in love with, is an extremely practical person. Now, this woman has not communicated to him in clear terms. Yes, she may have dropped hints saying, I like flowers. However, Mr. Practical has not registered that piece because in his scheme of life, his way of thinking, his belief system, flowers don't exist. So the girl expects, the guy fails, and therein lies the problem. Now, if the girl takes into consideration that this person that she has fallen in love with is an extremely practical person, then she will also understand that she needs to communicate in clear terms to him, which means, hey, mister, you need to buy me roses every week because I like it and it makes me happy and I would like you to do that for me. That is option one. Now, there is a chance that Mr. Practical turns around and says, well, I'm sorry, but I don't believe in wasting money on flowers. And no, I'm not going to buy you roses every week because that's not how I express my love. Now, either Miss Romance can negotiate with Mr. Practical and have her wish fulfilled, or she will buy his point and accept that, he does love me in many other ways and this is a small thing. It's fine. I'm willing to let it pass as long as he buys me flowers on 2 days or 3 days of the year, which are important. Or then Miss Romance, because she's in love, may also give in to Mr. Practical's ways and say, fine, so be it. I'll give this one up. Now, here's what comes through in this example. One is the inherent nature of the two partners, And 2 is the willingness to do something. So you could ask someone who's extremely practical to suddenly be romantic. Please understand that it is out of that person's nature. They may be uncomfortable in being that way. And some of them may do it. Despite that, they'll learn, because there's always a way to learn. But some of them may not be willing to learn. Now, when you have a partner who is not willing to fulfill an expectation, whether he's capable of it or not, that's when you have to decide whether you're going to drop that expectation or you're going to fight for it. And that is where the problems may come up. To put it simply, a lot of us are expecting things from our partners that they are either incapable of giving us or not willing to give us. And people aren't having these clear conversations in their relationships. So the second layer to that list that you made earlier on of all your expectations and understanding why you expect them, what is it supposed to do for you? Well, you also want to start marking that out as something that your partner is capable of giving you or not capable of giving you. Once you have marked that out, then you can also mark it out as whether the person is willing to give it to you or not willing to give it to you. And then you decide which expectations you're dropping, which expectations you're holding on to, and how you are going to communicate this to your partner. Having expectations is one thing. Not communicating them is another thing. And then holding on to resentment because your partner isn't stepping up and showing up is a whole nother thing. And on this note, I expect you to do some work this week. Work on your relationship. Use the little perspectives and tips that I have shared with you and make the changes that you can make. Remember one thing, when you make the change that you can make, you open the door for things that you want to change. You may need to hear that last statement again, but have a good week and do remember to tune in to the next episode that's coming out day after tomorrow. It's all about fighting fair. All our previous episodes are available on the IVM Podcast app and website. And you can connect with us on Instagram and Twitter. Our handle is IVM Podcasts. Also, if you want to connect with me, talk to me about expectations, want to understand a little more about it, want to share a personal experience and get a tip or a hack from me, DM me on Instagram. My handle is Positivity Angel. I'm going to catch you day after tomorrow.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Speaking of Instagram, Niharika Pandey joined Cyrus this week on Cyrus Says. Niharika is the strategic partner manager for Instagram India. Great conversation about the plans for Instagram in India. Karanjit Kaur joined the guys at Uncle Please Sit. Another really interesting conversation about the patriarchy. On Advertising is Dead, old friend Suchita Salwan showed up. Suchita is the founder of LBB. Great conversation she had with Varun. Definitely do check that out as well. Tanvi Lad, who is a nationally ranked badminton player, was on the Habit Code with Ashton Doctor. Great conversation. I would highly recommend that. The Football Football guys are back. They've been back for a few weeks, but definitely do check out their latest episode. Great conversation they had. On Aditi Surana's Absolutely Right, Manju Sara Rajan was the guest, and again, a great conversation was to be had over there. As always, great conversations all across the board. Check out some of the other stuff like Smile India and Know Your Kanun and All Things Policy. All of them had fresh episodes this week, but with that, I hope to see you again next week.
Filter coffee is a fascinating beverage. You need to pick the right beans, blend them in the right proportion, roast them to perfection, and slow brew at the right temperature to get the perfect cup. Which is exactly like great conversations as well. You need to track down the most interesting minds, get them into their zone, and settle down for an unhurried, unscripted chat. And coffee for me is always best enjoyed with friends. I'm Karthik Nagarajan, and do share my table as I meet some of the most interesting people I know and sit them down for a strong cup of coffee and an even stronger conversation. Join me every Wednesday for a freshly brewed episode. This is not frappe. This is the Filter Coffee Podcast.